So I'm gonna start this video by saying I'm not a expert in Jiu Jitsu by any means. I'm also not a black belt or an IBJJF world champion or an ADCC Hall of Famer. I'm an addictive hobbyist that does a ton of Jiu Jitsu, and at the weekend I did my first competition. First competition in 4 years, and first competition since I got my brown belt, because I got my brown belt last year. And I wanted to put a video together for the guys who are thinking about starting the likes of Jiu-Jitsu or a martial art or any sort of sport. And the same sort of rules apply even to like handstands and calisthenics and weight loss. And it's about this idea of expanding your comfort zone, where when I first walked into Jiu-Jitsu, and I've dabbled in Jiu-Jitsu on and off for years until I joined the club I'm in now. And even there in those early days, you were like, oh, how does this work? And you know, you're trying to tie your belt and not look like a tit. And you go through that phase of it's all new and you're bad at all of it. And you progress through and you do feel that your comfort zone expands. So I went from throwing up in the changing rooms as a white and blue belt and getting empty at competition and stuff, to actually walking into the club and feeling like I could hold my own against a lot of dudes, and you feel your comfort zone expanding, where you can roll with 7-8 guys on the bounce and do well, and you know, defend well and get submissions and everything else. And at the weekend I did a comp where I ended up winning my bracket. So I won my first match 6-0 on points, and then I subbed a couple of guys after.
That's it, 2 minutes 50, open points. Well done.
I then actually entered a Nogi competition against a couple of black belts. I don't train Nogi, and I was the only brown belt in that division. And actually scored a few points and everything. And yeah, I got subbed in the semis, but I remember being in that venue as a blue belt and completely shit the bed, and nerves set in, the adrenaline dump. And again, this is low level competitions, but it's all relative to you, and I think we all big these things up in our head. And it was funny at the weekend, standing there. I just won brown belt, the brown belt seniors, and I was about to go out for the black belt Nogi, and I remember just feeling this like calmness and relaxed feeling, and just sort of joking to myself that I remember being in that venue as a blue belt and being shit. And the moral of the story will be that, again, I am not by any means amazing at Jiu-Jitsu. Great, yes, but not amazing. And it's funny where this path, regardless of what path you're on, is not linear. And you see guys expecting this, where they're going to just cruise up, and by the time they hit the likes of a black belt or whatever, they're Bruce Lee. And it doesn't happen that way. You know, if I got totally emptied at the weekend, it wouldn't stop me in my jiu-jitsu journey. It just gives me new things to think about. Everything's just a matter of time. And if anything, when you get little bouts of frustration or you get little bouts of success, it's just part of your progress. So I suppose the moral of the story is you have to start whatever it is you're going to start. You have to accept that you're going to be shit for a large part of it. And you have to accept that win, lose or draw, it will not affect your journey if you keep turning up. So that's Neil's words of wisdom from a below average jiu-jitsu player. And if you haven't watched my last video on anxiety, it's worth a punt, because I actually mentioned competition in it, so I inspired myself. Catch you in the next.